Greetings and salutations, listener! It is I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by my cinema-watching partner, the boy.
Hey!
And, of course, our third nerd, my lovely wife, Brandie, who's probably going to be a little bit echoey.
Hi!
And also Toad. We are here on the final episode of Anniversary Month. This is totally not the Elimination Chamber. If you came here for that, check back later this week. We called our Anniversary Month before you re-announced Elimination Chamber WWE, so suck it.
Yeah, suck it.
Sure, suck it.
But this is a revisiting of, like, the last big video of the old Two Nerds era. The three of us sat down and we recited our top 20 movies of all time. And that took like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was
even after editing. It was long.
It was hilarious.
Oh yeah, we had a fun time. But we thought we'd come back. You know, it's been what, 3 years, 4 years,
4 years,
and see where everything's sat. Most of you guys haven't seen the old one, and I can't upload it to YouTube. So you won't know exactly what our lists are, but this will give you some insight into who we are as people. If you haven't caught on already.
Which would be weird, because, I mean, how have you not caught on already?
But before we come in at number 10, need I remind you, you could purchase my delicious books in the description of this video. There's a link. My books are also sold at all fine online retailers, and taste great when paired with a Cabernet Sauvignon. And if you would also support our dear friend, Super Blizzard, and the Shining Wasato tunes that he produces, so many of them are used for my projects because he was like, y'all do what you want, and I appreciated that. So yeah, number 10. Last time we went me, Brandie, you. I think this time we should start with Brandie.
Alright. This was incredibly difficult. I mean...
Oh, making the whole list in general?
Oh, yeah, just... It took a while, and I kind of feel bad for some movies that got scratched. But a new favorite of mine, coming in at number 10, The Hunger Games.
All of them?
No, just the first one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Catching Fire is really good, and Mockingjay Part 1 is also very good, but I can watch the first one by itself.
It wasn't a bad movie. I was surprised by it.
Yeah, no, I also really enjoy these movies. All of them, pretty equally. I don't know that the first one's my favorite. I think it actually might be the newest one, Mockingjay Part 1, because it's a very different story from the other two. But, I mean, they're certainly great movies.
And it was surprising, because me and you decided to sit down and watch it once. Like, let's see what this is all about.
I was actually you and I. We started watching it.
Was?
And yeah, I convinced the boy that he'd probably like it.
Okay.
Yep.
Reminded me a lot of the sci-fi stuff that he was into, that he told me about.
And now, once a year, Boy and I go on a platonic date to watch the Hunger Games movies.
Whenever the newest one comes out.
Yeah, they're not really my thing. I like the first one just fine, but I don't really care for the franchise.
It really also made me fall in love with Jennifer Lawrence.
You and the internet. And the less said about that, the better.
Hey, hey, hey!
Boy, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Why, that's a lot like Colt Regan, Winter Soldier, which you can purchase if you go down to the description and follow the link. Buy the other 3 books first.
Buy his books.
Quick side note, those two things are nothing alike.
No, yeah, actually, they're very different. Very fucking different. Please go on about this wonderful movie.
I mean, first off, it's a good comic book movie. Secondarily, it's a genuinely good political thriller.
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, especially toward the end.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of really good character moments, a lot of characters I really enjoy. It has the Falcon, and I don't think, Internet, you will ever understand how excited I am about that. And it's actually, I had 2 things in here. I had Captain America the Winter Soldier, and I had Captain America the First Avenger. And I had to decide which one I liked more. And while I think First Avenger is a more fun movie, honestly, The Winter Soldier is a better movie and one I could watch more often. So,
really,
in the end, that takes the spot.
I'd say, for my personal tastes, that the first Avenger is a much better movie, and I would watch it a million times over. I will admit that, I mean, Winter Soldier has a lot going for it, like, for example, Batroc et l'Hyper, but I can't pick that as a better film solely based on a single character. As we've established in the past, that's just idiocy. Let's move right along to my number 10. My number 10 in my top 10 movies of all time. As we used to say in the old list at this point in time, because gosh, this is going to change probably as soon as we see Fury Road.
God, I from the previews I can see, yeah, probably.
But my number 10 is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. I could have cheated and put all of the Star Warses on here, but it would not have been as high as 10 if I had to take them all into account.
And ultimately, Jedi wins.
Yeah, I like Revenge of the Sith a lot more than most people do, but...
I'd say Revenge of the Sith is probably my second favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, and then probably A New Hope, Empire, Attack of the Clones, and then that other one.
Whereas my personal list is Empire, Revenge of the Sith, Jedi, A New Hope, Phantom Menace, and then that other one.
Do you have a list?
I've only ever watched them once.
Yeah. And they were a wonderful experience.
They were. I want to watch them again.
You know, I think it would be interesting. I don't think we'll ever do this because, I mean, this was bad enough. This was Sophie's Choice 10 times over, but not literally, gosh. We all got a bunch of babies together and labeled them with movies we like. It's the dark comedy. It's why they come to the Two Nerds podcast. But I think it would be interesting to rank, like, fandoms and see where that fell. Because you mentioned that, you know, you were surprised about certain appearances on your list about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in general, Star Wars as a phenomenon, I would rate much higher than number 10 on my list. But here it is. The reason I picked Jedi, you know, a lot of people will balk and be like, Ewoks. But
Aww.
they were fine. They were cute. Whatever. It was fun. And I think looking down on the Ewoks is kind of looking at it with jade-colored glasses, if you will. Cynical, sort of, you know.
Right. Jade-colored glasses implies jealousy, though.
No, like you're jaded.
No, I got
Like-
the joke, but that's not...
No, but like the green-eyed monster, that's just regular green. Jade is used on purpose. It was a colorful turn of phrase. Oh shit, I just did it again.
Oh, God.
Anyway, yeah, okay.
You're a terrible person.
You can be mad about the Ewoks if you want. I think you're just being a little hard on yourself and refusing to have fun, but hey, that's you. The rest of the movie is pretty solid, though. There's a lot of really strong character moments, and you know, I prefer characters over everything else. It shows the dark parts of Luke Skywalker, who's one of my favorite characters. So let's barrel right on through, because this is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Number 9 with Brandie. What do you got,
The
babe?
Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yep.
The first one, not Age of Ultron's sexy ass.
I haven't. One of the things that determined my top 10 is the ability to watch them over and 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 over again without getting sick of them. I've only watched the Avengers.
So staying power is an important factor.
Yes, I've only watched Age of Ultron once in the theater. So when it comes out on video, I want to watch it more, and then it may hit this list. But I'm only watching it once. I can't really.
Right on.
Yeah, makes sense.
That makes sense. What did you like about Avengers so much? Because Boy and I have talked about Avengers at length in another podcast, which you can find if you go to our channel and check through our podcast. But we haven't really had your opinion on the matter.
Do you want my actual reasons, or this typical, man, those are some hot men?
I mean whatever you want to
yeah,
say.
it's
but
your
like-
movie list, dude. I don't care. If the only reason is, look, abs, then hey, that's you.
I really like the way they interact together. I think it's hilarious. I like the character building and the setting up for other storylines, and it's
So,
full of
like-
actiony goodness.
Like, part of the package is the potential it gave you.
Yes.
Like, just dawning and realizing that, so many places they could go. That was
Yeah.
part of the wow factor. That's kind of cool.
Also, RDJ.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, of course.
Number 9 for the boy.
Number 9 for the boy is Watchmen. And
You know what? We might as well. That's my number 9 as well. Yeah, fist pound.
yeah. It's you're such a douchebag.
We slap dicks.
Oh,
So, number 9.
Again, I saw it. It's
Number
great.
9, Watchmen.
Watchmen. So I'm going to give you a mild spoiler for the rest of this list, listener. I love the Avengers. It's not on here for me, but the Watchmen is specifically because I love that comic book. That comic book kind of informed my opinion about comic books as a young person, because I got a hold of it way before I should have. To be fair, and they did. I know people will disagree with me on this, but I think they did such a good job adapting one of my favorite comic books. And it is, in and of itself, a really good story. And the movie version of it is a genuinely good movie that I don't think, it was going to be this or the Avengers. It was going to take up this spot for me. And it was just, in the end, it wasn't a choice. One of these things is a real achievement for cinema to get that story across well.
Yeah, I mean, this was in the era before Zack Snyder learned how to do things badly, which is, as we all know, started with Man of Steel. Back when the man could literally do no wrong and was a wonderful saint among children. And this was a testament to that. I would say, while Sucker Punch might be his baby, this is probably his masterpiece. Committing the style and tone of Watchmen to film as well as he did it. You know, regardless of whether or not you think it was a super faithful translation, committing that to film as well as it was done is Renaissanceian in its level of skill and, dedication.
And love for the material.
Yeah.
Add to that it just has characters I really deeply enjoy, and it has such a complex look at a genre I'm incredibly fond of.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a lot of it. One could even claim it's kind of cheating to have a film like Watchmen on there because, a lot of it is the story and the characters, and it's not just because it's a movie. It's because that story is so strong on its own that no matter what format you manage to transcribe it to, it's still going to resonate like that. I think the film version does a wonderful job, and I mean, here we are being honest with ourselves. I would be lying if it wasn't at my top 9 slot. It's still a movie I can pick up and watch and am awed by every single time. So that's both of our number 9s. Let's go to Brandie's number 8.
More RDJ.
More RDJ?
Just
Iron
not
Man
even a
3.
specific movie. Oh, okay.
RDJ. Everything. No, Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is a very good film.
Iron Man 3 is a very good film. Would you like to tell the audience why?
Like, why more than Iron Man 1 or 2? Because, as I've grown to understand it, Iron Man 3 is kind of looked down upon by the populace, who seem to think Iron Man 1 is a much more superior movie.
The general accepted opinion of Iron Man movies is quality goes like this. Iron Man 1
is at the top.
A giant gap, Iron Man 3, another giant gap, Iron Man 2. People fucking hate Iron Man 2.
I can't blame them for that. It was not... It had two things going for it.
I love Iron Man 2.
I like all the Iron Man movies. Mostly because RDJ has some very witty one-liners, and it's funny and just kept me entertained from start to finish. I can watch it over and over and over again.
It has that all-important staying power.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious, and he doesn't give any fucks. And he buys Pepper that gigantic bear.
Rabbit.
Did
yes.
you see the bunny? Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah, I mean that's perfectly cromulent reason.
Yeah, totally.
You're number 8, the boy.
Snatch. Go ahead, get it out.
No, I'm not doing it this time. I did it in the last one. I've recycled a lot of jokes from there, but I'm not doing it.
14-year-old boy.
I mean, this is kind of a placeholder for all the Guy Ritchie movies because in the end, this is probably my favorite.
That's probably the best one. I mean, let's be honest.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is good. And
It is. It's
Revolver
really
is
good.
really good.
Revolver was really... It snuck up on me.
But...
Like, I was barely paying attention to Revolver, and then, like, it started to get really fucking good, and I was like, wait, hold on.
Well, but in the end, Snatch is probably the best of them, and is, at the very least, my favorite. It didn't introduce me to one of my favorite actors, that being Jason Statham. He is legitimately one of my favorite actors. But it did introduce me to them as something other than the guy from the Transporter movies. And it's just an incredibly witty, incredibly well-written, and charming movie. While at the same time being a really decent sort of crime movie.
He reminds me as, like, the B-side to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Like, and that
Like,
doesn't
they're
mean
playing in the same...
That doesn't mean inferior. It's just, he
No,
plays...
just the other side of the coin.
He hits the other notes.
One has a weird head, the other one has a giant house. Or a bird.
Or a Madonna sometimes.
Depends on what your money look like. Yeah, I can go with that spot. My number 8 is Sin City, actually. Between the visual design and, again, the care that was taken in filmmaking with some of the lighting. And
Did you know, actually, they used the comic panel for panel as the storyboards for that movie?
Yes, I was aware of that. I followed a lot of it during its production. I am a big fan of Robert Rodriguez's adult-oriented movies. I have not seen Spy Kids, nor do I care to.
From what I understand, they're like Robert Rodriguez movies,
but for children,
but
yeah.
for children.
That's just not my cup of tea.
I saw the first one. It was not as bad as I mean, it was bad. Let's be clear. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, and Danny Trejo was amazing.
Danny Trejo's amazing at anything he does. But Sin City was powerful, and, I mean, it's the harder, dirtier version of what I write. It's, weird little mysteries, sometimes with an air of something more, unnatural. Gritty characters, shitty situations, and in the end, it somehow works out.
Or it doesn't, because Sin City also has the caveat that it's a lot more bitter and jaded than what
yeah, I don't know. Most of those stories worked out. We broke even, and we feel good about it. That's about it. But yeah, it's a phenomenal film. Visually, just breathtaking, and wonderfully translated. One of Frank Miller's last good works.
Poor Frank Miller. He went a little crazy.
Brandar, number 7.
Number 7.
This one surprised me. When we went to go watch it, I was like, I'm going to watch this. It's not going to be good. I'm not going to enjoy it. But you guys convinced me, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that film.
Yeah, once or twice or
12 times.
Yeah.
And
certainly not playing on mute in the background right now.
No, I mean, clearly not.
Sorry. Within the first 5 minutes, I was in love.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Well, it goes. I mean, it puts love on Front Street.
Actually, let's say 10 minutes, because in the first 10 minutes of the movie, I'm confused, and then heartbroken, and then laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of movie to give you that kind of punch in that many different ways that fast.
Oh my god. It was amazing, and I still like to sing along with it. In fact, I kind of want to watch it one more time with this.
What? Who's stopping you?
Yeah.
It's not me.
Who gonna stop you?
Number 7 for you, the boy.
Number 7 is another of Alan Moore's adapted works. But I like it for very different reasons. V for Vendetta.
Ooh.
Now, notably, whereas Watchmen was an incredibly faithful translation of the story with only the changes that were necessary for the changes in time and for the changes in medium, V for Vendetta is a different fucking story.
It's a loose adaptation.
It is an entirely different story from the comic. I love the comic. I like the movie better. Now a giant snake monster is probably going to come eat me later for saying that.
Don't worry, it's fictional.
Um,
He says so himself.
yes. But I love that movie. I love the performance. I still think it is hands down one of the best examples of acting I've ever seen in my life. Hugo Weaving, his performance in V for Vendetta is still mind-bendingly good to me. I don't understand how he acted that well through a mask.
It takes some doing.
Completely face-obscuring mask.
As someone who tried to act through a mask that was not completely face-obscuring and failed so miserably, he put his face on the internet. It's not easy.
Add to that, I love this. I love the story. I love the twists and turns it takes. I love the conclusions it comes to. And, I mean, let's be clear. I think the movie is really beautifully written. Its dialogue is good. And ultimately, I am a man of words.
I want to watch that movie.
Brandie wants to watch all the movies.
And ain't nobody gonna stop her.
Nope. At least not the movies that are on these lists.
Right? Yeah, please, watch one of my favorite movies of all time. Let's do that. More, please.
My number 7 is The Dark Knight.
Ooh.
Sometimes the movies, they please, Brandar. She goes, ooh. If you guys have seen our top 10 favorite characters from fiction of all time, you will know that high up on my list is the Joker. And this is one of the most interesting and impressive interpretations of the character I've seen. Not the most iconic, but very, very interesting. Well done.
A great take on the character.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, no, it's fairly iconic. I mean, when was that movie released?
You know what?
Don't have
She's
the dates.
probably right. In popular culture, it's
Well,
probably
yeah.
the most iconic.
Sure.
At this point.
I didn't mean... I meant of the Joker, not of pop culture.
Right. It's probably going to be more iconic than the one from Suicide Squad. Not hopeful, listener.
Well, it came out, 10 years ago? 8 years ago?
Jesus Christ, really?
No. We were living together, so maybe 7 years ago.
I'm going to Google it.
6 or 7 years ago.
It came out a long time ago.
I'm just going to Google it. Go ahead.
But
What's your
people
point?
are still... I mean, it's...
Well, yeah, but there are people who dress as obscure characters from... I'm not arguing with the fact that it's iconic in pop culture. I was just... I don't think it's the most iconic interpretation of the Joker.
No, that's Heath Ledger. Or not Heath Ledger. Mark Hamill.
Freud and the boy here bringing some truth, I think.
No, it's because we're talking about The Dark Knight.
But there's
2008. I didn't think it was 10 years ago.
There's a lot of themes covered in that film that I like to use in my other non-Colt Regan works. It inspired me a lot, and it was a good story, good use of music, good characters, and that's my piece on the matter. Let's roll right along to number 6, Brandie.
Okay, so I just realized that 6 out of my top 10 movies are made by Disney.
Nice.
So that tells you where my life is.
Are you counting like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yep.
Okay.
And
So, like,
Avengers.
loosely made by Disney.
Well, Disney owns Marvel.
Well, hold on. Let me see. No,
I want to do the
1,
count
2, I only have 2. 3 if you count Star Wars, but I don't because that was made way before they got Star Wars.
No, but Iron Man 3, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that's enough spoilers.
Well, I've already said these.
I know.
Right.
The Avengers.
What's your next number?
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and some bees.
That's a much different movie.
So,
Tale as old as... Ah!
Song as old as...
No! Stop!
Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, no.
We peaked hard on those. Sorry, listener.
Sorry.
Now I want to watch that movie.
Beauty and the Bees? Yeah, me too.
Alright, so, while Belle's not my favorite princess, by any means, I enjoyed this movie because we all enjoy this movie. We all enjoy
You like it because we like it?
No, we all enjoy watching it together. We all quote it, we all sing it, and we all have a good time with it.
So yes, you like it because we like it?
Yeah.
It's like, if I may dig a little deeper here, it's like, this is something that not only is a good movie to you, is a fun movie to you, but it's also symbolic of the bond you share with your family.
Yes.
I have to admire and respect that for reasons we'll come to a little later.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to.
Also, it has the best.
The best guest on? Who is
yeah.
Gaston?
Hands down, best guest on.
No one makes top 10 movie lists like Gaston.
No one.
No, really. Let's not.
We'll do the whole song.
Let's not get sued.
I don't want to get a takedown notice for this. Thank you.
Number 6 for you, the boy.
Number 6 for me is The Devil's Rejects.
Really?
Yeah.
That was not even on your list last time.
It's been 4 years, bro.
It has been 4 years. I'm taken aback. I'm gonna be surprised if the next movie is Lords of Salem or something.
Okay, no, Lords of Salem wasn't on this list. Lords of Salem wasn't very good.
Whatever. It was awesome.
Thank you, the boy. Thank you.
It just wasn't. But The Devil's Rejects is... Okay, listener, real talk. I don't consider myself the most morally righteous person on earth.
Really?
No, I really don't.
But you like Littlefinger, who's the good guy in Game of Thrones.
Clearly. But...
Is there somebody else who's the good guy in the
No, this Littlefinger, he's winning, so he's the good guy.
Yes.
I like winners, what can I say?
God, I want him to drown.
But, The Devil's Rejects is an amazing movie because it brings such a sense of family and such a sense of unity and love to these objectively terrible people.
Just the worst.
They are murdering rapist cannibals. It doesn't get worse than that. That's as bad as you can be.
Well, none of their victims were children.
Yes, they're not pedophiles.
Yeah, so there is a level below that.
I suppose you're
If
right.
they were
Murdering rapist canophile pedophiles? Then I think I said canophile, by the way.
Hey, I'm a canophile. Love me some cans.
He's drinking out of a can right now, listener.
I have a bunch of old Shack soda cans or Soda Shack on the fridge. I do collect cans.
But
Listener.
the inside into the Two Nerds world.
Yeah.
and they fall off the refrigerator and hit me.
Because it's kind of slanty. I need to get some new Shack ones because ours are all dented because they keep falling.
Or we need to find a better place to store them.
But the Devil's Rejects is a beautiful movie for someone who has forged a family that isn't necessarily related to them by blood. And I think that's one of the reasons I like it, because while we are not as bad as the Firefly family, as far as you know, listener, I enjoy that I can relate to these people so well. And that's not really something I value very much in movies, but I do value it in this movie.
Sometimes that bond is just very important,
Mm-hmm.
between you and the subject you're engaging.
And that's usually so weird for me to understand because I don't have that with most movies. But I relate very strongly with this movie, and it's
large enough that it's shot up your list. That's impressive. Well, my number 6 is Iron Man 3. Kiss Kiss Clang Clang.
Yeah, oh dear sweet. Yeah, it is. Having seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and having seen Iron Man 3, Jon Favreau was right. That's what that movie is.
I like it a lot. I mean, for the reasons Brandie mentioned, it does have that staying power. It is fun from start to finish. You're interested. You're invested. I liked the Mandarin twist. And this is coming from me, who, after I saw the first movie and went, oh god, this franchise is good, have been clamoring for the actual Mandarin to show up.
Well, okay, let's be honest. He was kind of Fin Fang Foom more than he was the Mandarin. He was
What's his name was Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah.
The villain was more Fin. Yeah, and he had the dragon tattoo and everything.
Yeah, he wasn't... He said, I am the Mandarin, that was the twist, but no, he was a giant fire-breathing fire monster. He's Fin Fang Foom.
Well, he's also the
And
extremist,
if you read,
storyline.
and if you read into the special features, the Ten Rings terrorist organization is in all likelihood headed up by the actual Mandarin, who's real pissed off that someone stole his shtick.
Yeah, and that leaves room for the future. Probably something on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I'll never fucking see. But regardless, we're talking about Iron Man 3. There was a whole bunch to enjoy about that movie. I really liked seeing the Iron Patriot, even if it wasn't Stormin' Norman.
It should, you know what? It couldn't have been because they made it War Machine, but I desperately want Stormin' Norman. Too bad Spider-Man's only getting to hang out now.
We're never going to get to Willem Dafoe again as him, so what's the point?
Yeah.
You're not...
The first Spider-Man movie had problems. Willem Dafoe was not one of them. That was perfect Norman Osborn.
I defy you to find an actor with more charisma, more dedication to the role, dare I say more hot!
Douche.
Willem Dafoe scares me.
As well he should. Have you seen his face?
Christopher Walken used to scare me, and then I saw Willem Dafoe.
And he's like scarier, Christopher Walken.
And
He's a sweet guy, though. Every time I start to get unnerved by him, I think about him in The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and how fucking earnest his character is, and it just warms the cockles. My heart.
Douche. Oh.
Hey, did you have a thought you wanted to finish, Brandie?
I used to be scared of the thought of Christopher Walken in a dark alleyway, and now it's Willem Dafoe. And when I get really terrified, it's the thought of them both being at the end of the dark alleyway.
Having sex?
No!
Like that scene in the hotel from The Shining?
No!
The scene from Twin Peaks, you're worried that there are...
Willem Dafoe just looks up for blowing Christopher Walken and gives you that grin.
Christopher Walken has that vaguely beatific smile on his face.
Oh, someone hire me to remake The Shining, because I do a doozy of a job.
Now
If you thought Stanley Kubrick fucked that movie up...
They're going to show up and those hallways are going to be full of blood. Jack Torrance is going to be like, this is fine.
Now that we're talking about Christopher Walken, I forgot about another movie that should have been on this list somewhere.
Oh no.
I don't know where.
What movie?
Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, you do like that a lot.
And it's a good movie.
It's such a good
I've never seen it.
It's a good movie.
It is a fabulous movie.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, moving on to my number 5.
Yeah, number 5.
I think this one stems from my deep-seated mommy issues.
All right.
Getting dark here in the podcast.
Yeah. All that children eating was fine, but this, ooh.
Tangled.
That's a good film. I believe the first time we finished watching it, we went, that's nice of Disney to make a movie for you.
I know, right? Overbearing mother figure.
Getting kind of chubby.
Yup. Locked away in a tower.
Away from other people.
Handsome, roguish interloper who was there for different reasons steals you away.
Yes.
That's not how it happened at all.
No.
It was more like Beauty and the Beast.
But it's a really good movie. I love the villain song. Because it reminds me of 95% of things my mother would have said to me.
Well, and that's kind of like, I mean, even without the personal relation, that's why it's such a good villain song. Most Disney villains are for the evils. She's just a really shitty parental figure.
Yep.
And that's so real.
She's just a shitty user who happens to be a sort of parent.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing.
Who only loves her for the magic for what she gives her.
Because she makes her feel young.
Yep.
It's just...
I mean, that's like, if you had at all a shitty parent, at all, in the least, even kind of, like, my mom was mostly good but kind of shitty, if you were to say that, you will find some sort of way to, feel for this character and her shitty mother figure.
Super relatable.
I just want to preface that my mother was crazy.
Oh yeah, she was a sweetheart when she wasn't crazy.
When she was sane, she was amazing, and Mother Gothel was nowhere near. But when my mother was off her meds and insane, her and Mother Gothel could have a go.
Well, and much like that, Entangled wasn't a real mom, so
yeah.
So
and her actual dad looked a lot like your dad.
Yeah.
And her actual mom seemed like a nice person.
Yeah.
Like my mom when she was.
Yeah. It was.
What we're saying is Tangled is a very complex allegory for Brandie's life.
It is. It's really weird like that, but
It really is.
it's also really beautiful. Great songs. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to by the previews. I'm not unhappy that I've seen it several times.
Did not think I was going to like that movie, and I was very pleasantly wrong.
I also really enjoy. Sorry, the Gogi is stepping on me.
He does that.
That Mandy Moore also voiced Rapunzel and did the music. I know a lot of the times in the older movies.
Yeah, they had to hire 2 actors.
Yeah, but it comes across perfectly because it's the same voice actor.
There's a lot of places where it's pretty seamless, though. I mean, they didn't care about it so much back in the day, but like nowadays, for example, My Little Pony, cough cough, the voice actress for Rarity and her song singer. There's a term for that. I can't remember off the top of my head. 2 different people, but it's really hard to tell the difference.
Oh, it is. Just like in The Little Mermaid, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's
the same person.
You can definitely tell it's Mandy Moore.
Yeah, that does help.
It's hard to tell when they're different actors, but it's easy to tell when they're not.
Yeah.
Just like in Frozen, blonde Kristen Bell, you can tell that it's Kristen Bell singing.
Well, I can't because I avoid that movie like plague.
It's not a bad movie. You hate it undeservedly.
Why you gotta make it this race issue? Why are you making fun of me for being an Italian? You think it is a predisposed of me not to like Frozen? You think I just sit on my fat ass and eat spaghetti? Not watch a Frozen?
Go ahead, dig yourself a deeper hole for the internet. I'm not going to stop you.
I like a spaghetti.
I'm actually thinking about
Not of the Frozen.
tonight.
See what my stupid voice of my people gets me?
Food.
Yeah, spaghetti
Delicious food.
All right, well, rolling right along. Number 5, the boy.
Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. I have some arguments to make about that. Again, through some sort of weird parallels, we made these lists separate from each other. My number 5 is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
I will fight you.
Oh, I will fight you back. Your movie went on too long.
Your movie was too slow to start.
Preach.
What?
I walked out of it.
Oh, yeah, you walked out for completely separate reasons that we shall not get into.
Shut up.
No, those are not Two Nerds podcast appropriate.
Also, it was kind of slow to start.
Fair. But
And-
at least it started.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the end of Return of the King is still happening.
somewhere on the moors, there is a lonely theater. It is playing The Slow Journey to the Elven Homelands.
Are we there yet, Gandalf? Almost. I took up smoking and quit again in the time it's taking us to get to...
Elf Heaven.
Yeah.
Look, we've been on this boat forever now. It was
I don't even want the One Ring anymore. I'm fine, actually. I just want to go home. Or anywhere that isn't this boat.
Oh, that'd be some dark shit. Yeah, no, I don't dispute that the ending went on too long.
No, yeah, it's...
Cut off the last 2 endings on the end of that movie. They had a lot of shit to wrap up, okay?
Yeah, they did. I think it could have easily been one of those end all was said moments, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the internet would have bitched, but the internet bitches anyway.
Look, unless Tom Bombadil was in every scene of every movie saving the day constantly, the movie's not good enough for them.
He just needs to be in the scene he was in. That's another issue I have with your movie. Tom
Whatever.
Bombadil wasn't in it.
You know,
the
issue I have with your movies is they did not say 2 of the greatest lines in that work. I'm Saruman of many colors.
That should have gone in Fellowship.
That actually should have probably gone to 2 Towers.
Yeah,
but still,
2 Towers.
they could have stuck it in Return of the King.
So that's what she said. Sorry.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And they cut out a lot of the weird madness of dude who threw himself off the tower.
Denethor.
Yeah, who's like, oh, my son is dead. No, he's fine.
No, he is
dead. It was delightfully weird moments in this serious book, and I just desperately wanted to see like Pippin and Gandalf staring at him like, good God.
like we'd all dropped into a David Lynch movie for a second.
Yeah. Those are 2 of my favorite moments of the book series, and I was so excited to see him on celluloid or digital whatever, and it just didn't happen.
But, that said, I think as a whole, the series probably deserves a special place in my heart. And it's for about the same reason as, honestly, about the same reason Watchmen's on here. I love Lord of the Rings novels. They introduced me to fantasy, which I still love to this day. And they helped form who I am as a person. So seeing such a really genuinely good adaptation is magic for me. It is a magic trick, the likes of which I can't fathom.
See, the reason I really like Fellowship to be on there, there's a lot of reasons, and there's a lot of reasons they're both good movies. I think, it's the beginning, it's the start of an adventure. While everything might not be full of hope, much like Brandie with the Avengers, it's full of potential. There's excitement. Even when the movie ends, I'm like, man, I can't wait to see what's coming. I'm usually a climax guy, but here, that wasn't... Woman?
I didn't say a word.
You breathed.
I'm allowed to do that.
The 14-year-old boy inside of you breathed.
Anyway.
That sounds worse.
Don't it, though? Usually I prefer the ultimate movie, Ultimo Dragon. But here, I really like all the potential that's there and all the, chest swelling with like, yes, over that hill to a new dawn. Let's see what awaits us. And more than anything, fucking Boromir.
Boromir was good, though.
Every time, like a baby, with his little horn. Ugh.
That's a good death scene. Look,
Yeah.
Sean Bean, not
got
for nothing, he's got a lot of experience in death scenes.
A lot of experience in death scenes, and I think that's probably his best. But that closes out number 5. So let's go to numero 4.
This is the first non-Disney movie since The Hunger Games. And it is my all-time favorite scary movie. Scream.
Oh, I thought it was Ghost Dad.
That's a scary movie.
Even more in hindsight.
Yeah. Oh, dark, sir. Dark for the podcast.
It's funny, though.
But growing up, I was very sheltered. I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies.
Yeah, me too.
I was not.
My mom flipped out when I saw Double Dragon. Double Dragon!
My mom would have flipped out if she'd known I had watched Hellraiser when I did, but she didn't know.
So, this was the first R-rated movie that I got to watch that I chose, that my parents knew about.
Nice!
So, I didn't go to the theater for this one, but I went to the theater for the next 3. And to this day, I'm going to find out later when I watch this movie, I'm pretty sure I can still recite the entire movie when I watch it. I love it. It never gets old for me. I love the meta of it.
Yeah, it was really, just clever as hell.
It really was.
Just a smart film, and came at just the right time.
It really did. And it was hilarious, and man, it was just everything I needed to get me started in the horror genre.
Yeah.
And it's weird that that's kind of where you started, because so much of my enjoyment of that movie is predicated on having watched all these other horror movies and seeing not just the big jokes, but the tiny nods and the little asides and all the various love of the horror genre that went into that movie. It's so weird for me that you started at, the inside baseball of the horror genre.
But it's what got me into it. It's what, this is hilarious. This is amazing. I love it. And it's what got me into Jason. It's what got me into all the horror movies that I watch.
Yeah, I mean, the first horror movie I elected to watch was also hilarious.
Which was it?
The Shining.
Oh.
I still crack up every time I see that film.
I
love that movie. Beetlejuice references aside, I really do think it's legitimately hilarious.
I have not seen that in so long.
Oh my god, it's funny. When he goes into the bathroom
so unintentionally
and that lady is all hot and sexy, and he's like, I'm gonna get me some of this, and then it's a gross lady, and he's like, whoa! He's gonna kill his family later.
But Like, if it wasn't for Scream, I never would have seen Truth or Dare.
Oh God, yeah.
I never would have shown you guys Truth or Dare.
That was on the old top 20 list. I'm not looping the video here, so let's...
So, it started my love of the horror genre, and
what a cool way to introduce yourself to it. Tongue pressed firmly in cheek.
Yeah.
We've talked about the merits of Scream on our top 10 horror movies podcast from back last October. And What Makes a Good Horror Movie as well was another podcast we had. Those of you guys who've joined us more recently, you might want to search through our archives and find those. They were quality pieces of entertainment, if I do say so myself. Boy, what's your number 4?
My number 4 movie is Kill Bill, Volume 2.
oh, good one.
Shh! Get off my list, dog.
Seriously?
Seriously!
Okay, we went to special effort to make these lists in seclusion and, like, not know each other's lists beforehand, so we didn't have this problem because we actually have very similar taste in movies.
Well, I mean, this is honestly better than the last time because, you know, our lists have shifted a lot, but last time we had similar lists with a lot of other similar movies, mostly in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
Because we did 20 last time. And we'd end up having to keep super quiet and not say anything for like 5 or 6 entries. So it's a lot nicer that they're at the same
They just
number.
happen to... unlike the other... I mentioned a couple, like, ends of a series. You know, the Captain America and Snatch and Lord of the Rings also standing in for my love of the series themselves. In this case, it's not as true.
Really?
I like Kill Bill Volume 2 a lot more than Kill Bill Volume 1.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I think it's kind of...
That's not to say I don't like the first one.
It sucks that I have to pick between 2 films because they are one story. And not in the way that the 3 Star Wars movies are one story, but for Empire, they could have been over. You know, where the first one was a conclusion, the third one was a conclusion. We didn't need to worry about it. And even Empire, as much of a downer ending as it was, could have been a conclusion.
Empire and Jedi are one story. A New Hope is separate.
Sure,
but
and that's kind of how I feel about...
Ultimately, I think it would be an even better movie if it were joined into one big movie. You're right. I think they are one
Lawrence of Arabia style?
Yeah, one big singular movie. But in terms of that big singular movie, the second half is better than the first half.
I'd have to be inclined to agree.
Well, it's like Where I Want to Cheat and do Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 is one movie.
Yeah.
But
didn't even make it on the list?
unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately. You have to cut a lot of stuff you love.
I got so many darlings just in the 10 to 15 slots I have listed up here for honorable mentions. I have, like, so many darlings I had to kill.
But this is a phenomenal film. It's a character study of 2 terribly interesting and awful people.
It's in a weird way a very true and almost brutal romance story.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful story of parenthood and responsibility. And at its soul, it is an unabashed, unapologetic spaghetti western / samurai movie, and those are 2 really good genres.
I mean, it's just those 2 movies. I would still say are Quentin Tarantino's best movies. I don't know if they're the Tarantino-iest.
We haven't seen some of the newer ones.
Well, yeah, that's true. Django Unchained, we haven't seen.
Oh, we
That's
did
the
see
only
that.
It's on Netflix. I don't really know why we have. We're not all in the same house a lot.
Yeah.
And we've had other shit to catch up on.
And there are a lot of movies that we prefer to watch as a unit.
Yes, but I would... the Xbox just came on. It's trying to be like, oh, you guys are going to watch Netflix, huh?
I can help with that.
No, Overlord Microsoft. Shush, shush, shush.
I'm going to go turn it off. Continue.
Yeah, right on. The first movie is so visually impressive, and it has a lot of good music in it. I think the second movie is, like, not so visually impressive, but stylistically impressive. And quotable as hell.
Yeah.
I still, when people ask, when will I see you again, follow that with Bill's line. Just a wonderful little well-put-together movie. Probably a little bit of its nostalgia, but it's still a really, really good movie. And I love the character of Bill. Bill is an incredible character. I love the bride, too.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is very much... The first movie is about a situation. The second movie's about the people. Those two people. And I think that's what makes it a better movie.
Well, and I think the first movie sets up the issue.
Yeah, it gives you the background you need to care about the second movie.
Right.
The second movie would not be as good as it is without the first one.
Sure. Yeah, don't watch
and
it.
not just because it would make no sense. I mean, that would also be a problem.
Yeah, they'd catch you up enough.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's our number. That's our number 4.
We're in the top 3. Brandie, what's your number 3 movie?
My last Disney movie, and that is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, with the crab.
Yep, that was the first Disney movie I watched in theaters.
Mine was The Aristocats.
I don't know what mine was.
I remember
Maybe it was a Jungle Book.
Huntington and watching it with my mom at the theater in the mall with my dad. And my mom was plain as day as we walked out, like, why would she give up that beautiful life for legs?
Hey,
the crab was right. The seaweed is greener in somebody else's leg.
It's better down where it's wetter, okay?
But I just love this movie. I love the song. I love the villain. I love the villain's song.
Hands down.
I was trying to think of who the villain was, and I was like, King Triton? No, you fool, the giant sea octopus. I know how you might see that as the hero. She's just trying to get hers. Triton should give her some of that kingdom. Bullshit. I am fully kidding.
She's an awful person.
She's a manipulative, horrible person.
With a great song.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down one of the best songs.
Just phenomenal.
I love to sing it loud and off key at work.
I sing it loud and off key at work also.
I sing it loud and on key to cheer up my mom.
He's a better singer than us.
As you will find if you watch my Spore series, also available on this channel, where I will not stop singing, and I continually amaze myself at how much I refuse to stop singing in those videos. I'm not a guy who sings in public.
But,
Little Mermaid.
Anything
you know, there was something that, I don't remember if we covered this in the last video or not, but something that I thought was rather intriguing about the way you watched the movie when you were younger and the way you feel about it now, especially Ariel's character. Would you mind sharing that?
Well, when I was little, I was like, yeah, she needs to go do these things.
She understands. She's 16.
She can do what she wants.
Now I'm like, oh my god, you're fucking 16. You have no idea what the fuck you're getting yourself into. Oh my god, you're getting married at 16? Oh my god.
Many years of experience have brought some extra perspective as to whether or not Ariel was as wise as she seems to believe she is.
Dude, you're letting your daughter go at 16!
He's a fish, you don't know.
Yeah, it's different.
And he totally just saved his life. I mean, like, that seems fair.
You don't know this guy. Well, to be fair, I didn't know you, but...
Sometimes Eric's just whisk in out of nowhere to take you away to a magical sea castle.
Wait, what? We could live in a sea castle? You have a sea castle? And you haven't been fucking telling me about the sea castle?
My sea castle exists for me in the afterlife in the kingdom of Relay.
Oh, shit, son!
Prince Eric.
I'm the beast. I'm sorry. It's just not like a manliness thing. Prince Eric is a handsome fella. Seems to have his shit together. He's smart. He's clever. He has interest in...
But if you want to be perfectly accurate, you did meet Brandie when you captured her father prisoner, and then she traded herself for him.
Yeah, and then we hung out with my snarky clock friend and sexy lamp buddy, and then she saw my magic rose that I kept secret in a hidden room in my house that I beat the shit out of, and then I stopped being so hairy. Basically. I also had to fight a really cool guy. I feel bad about that constantly, but it was me or him. And he had weird death eyeballs, so... An accurate retelling of my life by C.S. Lewis. Number 3, the boy!
Yeah, my number 3. Okay, so, listener, if any of you used to be the viewer and have transformed...
Good God, why are you still here?
Yeah!
Ultimo Dragon, man. Cthulhu love you.
If you remember the old video, or, if you just have listened to the previous podcast and know me as a human being, that this is number 3 might surprise you. Again, number 3, not number 1. We're still 2 spots away from number 1. Number 3 is The Dark Knight.
Now, we're not talking about the Batman movie. That's clearly your number 1 spot. This is some very unheard of 80s movie about an evening between two people and lots of suspense and mystery as they stay alone in an old haunted house.
Nope, this is a Batman movie. That's right. I still think this movie is very close to perfect. There's no bad acting in it. There's no bad writing.
There's a bad voice.
That's
a bad decision, though.
That's a bad decision. I think that's why I say close to perfect, not perfect, because time has not been kind to the Bat voice.
Oh.
But it's
when one looks at Batfleck as an improvement.
But I still think this is an incredibly well done movie and an incredibly good Batman movie. But the farther away I get from it, the more I see the very, very tiny cracks that exist in it that prevent it from being my favorite movie. It's ultimately a very, very bitter and bleak story. And that's good sometimes, but in the end, that's not who I am as a person. I don't like that out of my entertainment. That says a lot about the movie that it's managed to rise to number 3 while being such a ultimately very bitter and, unfriendly story.
It's cynical, it's self-sacrificing, it's a bit of a martyr story in a lot of different ways.
And that's not to say it's bad. I love this movie. But the longer I've gotten away from it, I long for a Batman story that manages to capture some of the other parts of The Dark Knight that I love.
Am I blue?
I mean, yeah, that should. This is a little off topic, but I feel like it makes my point. In the Justice League cartoon, there is... I'm mentioning this more than a couple times happened in the comic because it's more likely to have listener. It's more likely the listener will know what I'm talking about. There's an episode of... Actually, I believe it's an episode of...
It's whatever the second one was.
Yeah, Justice League Unlimited. Long story short, there is a little girl who is a bad guy. She's been wreaking havoc because she's depressed and is going to die. Batman, being the person that he is, calms her down, talks her down, and waits by her side. That's the Batman I'd like to see in the movies. That's the human I'd like to see in the movies. And as much as I love The Dark Knight, that doesn't have that guy. And that's such an important part of the character.
Because in the end, Batman's a good guy. And the movies, all of the movies, seem to focus a little too much on how Batman is the gritty guy, the justice guy.
Or the serious guy.
Yeah.
In the end, he's a superhero.
For those of you who didn't see Justice League Unlimited and you are more fond of the original animated series, maybe not all.
That series, yeah. The Batman who deeply cares about people.
But let's move right along from something a little less heartfelt to my number 3 movie, which is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Good flick.
Yeah, there's I might have heard that you enjoyed it, Brandie.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
When we came out of Iron Man 3, the three of us looked at each other, and I said, that was better than The Dark Knight. I can't believe an Iron Man movie was better than The Dark Knight, but that was better than The Dark Knight. And after some research, we all kind of agreed. Then I came out of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, oh my god. I mean, I was like, I don't want to call this my favorite movie ever or anything. Clearly, we're at number 3, but that was incredible. Another problem I have with The Dark Knight is there's that point in the middle where everything slows the fuck down.
And pacing is very important for you.
It is so important for me. This movie never stops. It has high points and low points. That's not to say it's like this wacky whip-stick-a-go thing, but it rolls. It's the title of a mindless self-indulgence song, Whip Stick a Go Stop.
Okay, cool, thanks. I fucking didn't know what that was.
Most of what I say is references. It's like my mom said the other night. Do we ever talk in things that aren't references?
No. Shaka when the walls fell.
It's an easier way to communicate, honestly.
Yep.
It's curtailed the conversations that used to take hours between Boy and I to minutes. But as I was saying, it's not like the movie is nonstop, action or anything. It has its low points, it has its peaks and valleys, but they flow. Nothing takes too long. It rolls right along. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's thrilling, it keeps you asking questions. I mean, in the end, you're pretty sure the heroes are going to save the day because it's a comic book movie.
And it's a pretty friendly comic book movie. If suddenly Ronan the Accuser wins, everyone dies. It would be a real fucking unexpected ending.
Yeah, the stakes are way too high for it to be a downer ending.
Also, I love how there's Blue Merle.
Yes. Oh, the characters. God, the characters. This movie has Rob Zombie in it. That immediately gives it extra points.
It does?
But yeah, so many great characters, so many great acting performances. Seeing some of my favorite Z-list Marvel characters like Rocket Raccoon committed to film just was wonderful.
Cosmo the psychic dog.
Howard the fucking duck. Have I ever told you that story, listener?
I don't think we have.
Oh my god. All right. The movie's great, whatever. You know this. We did our Guardians of the Galaxy podcast.
We saw it twice in theaters.
Yeah, we might not even mention this on the podcast. We get out of it the first time, and we're waiting for the after credit scene because we know there is one because it's a Marvel movie. Up until
That was the second time I watched it.
maybe it's the second time, whatever. And that scene comes on, and behind us, I hear this lady clapping her hands and slapping her daughter, not like in the face, but like patting her arm really loud, and going, "It's Howard! It's Howard the Duck! It's Howard!" And she's like, "Mom, shut up! Oh my god!" She's like, "Nobody's Howard!" I was so happy. She's like, "Mom, you're being embarrassing. There's other people here." After the scene ended, I had to stand up and say, "No, you should be proud. Proud that you are a person alive in this year and you know who Howard the Duck is. And we're that unabashedly excited about his existence."
You are cool, miss.
I mean, that was just... Sometimes it's the people you see the movie with as well that let you enjoy it. And, when we saw the movie with your mom that one time, that was really fun.
Oh, yeah. that was a really, really positive bonding experience with my mom.
Yeah.
I took her to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's such a good movie.
We now have a dancing baby Groot.
We bought her one, too.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was just a fun experience all around. Great movie. That last part, one of my favorite bits. And if I've repeated myself in the previous podcast, I only took up maybe 2 minutes of your time. Let's roll to number 2 there, Brandar.
My top 2 favorite movies are movies that most people have never seen before.
Yeah, like, I'm usually the indie guy who's like, "Yeah, I like this band that no one's ever heard of," which I hate. Because I like to talk about stuff with people.
I was sheltered, so I could only pick from the PG and PG-13 movies.
So you saw a bunch of movies that no one would voluntarily watch.
And number 2 is The Cutting Edge.
Oh, man.
It's about a pairs ice skater lady who is an absolute bitch and fails at the 1988 Winter Olympics because this movie is hell of an old.
It's...
Wait, didn't she start out as a single ice skater?
No, she started out as pairs.
Yeah, she keeps losing partners because she's so mean.
I thought the story was that she started out singles and then they gave her someone to pair with because she failed at being...
Like an 80s cop movie?
Yes!
You're a loose cannon ice skater, Ragetti!
Yes, like the girl version of a cop movie. That's what I thought this was.
Genius.
So she failed. She because she got her foot caught in her partner's elbow or shoulder, and he dropped her, and it was all her fault. And so she didn't win a medal at the '88 Winter Olympics.
Okay.
And then,
many of us haven't, though. So
I didn't. That was a year before I was born.
And then the same Winter Olympics, a guy, I forget his name, he's played by D.B. Sweeney. Remember the actor's name, but not the character's name. He gets injured in a hockey game and loses part of his peripheral vision and can never play hockey again. So she's finished with nobody wants to skate with her, so her coach finds this retired ice hockey player and
it's kind of nice. And I've seen this too. It's got
Clearly, I have not seen all of it.
It's one part Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
And one part romantic comedy.
Yes.
But it's It's not one of those stupid romantic comedies that's like the convention of the misunderstanding. And
God, alright, side note, listener, we're usually a very positive podcast. I fucking hate that trope.
Oh, it's
the misunderstanding. I hate that thing so much. It has ruined so many movies for me.
it relies on like bullshit pro wrestling logic. Like something. The pro wrestling logic I'm speaking of is a tag team will have some sort of miscommunication on Monday Night Raw one week, and then next week they're still salty about it because clearly they haven't seen each other in that entire time.
Well, going back from wrestling, she's a spoiled bitch. He's, had to work hard his whole life. He does not put up with her shit. She hates him for it. But because he won't put up with it, she falls in love with him. And there's is a little bit of misunderstanding, but...
Yeah, but it's not like,
The entire thing is, no, she's a bitch, he's a dick. They get over it.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's like the opposite of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where they're just both really nice people, and you just get to watch them get together and have a nice time.
It's a good movie.
It doesn't sound like a movie I'd like, but the absence of the misunderstanding speaks volumes for it.
It is a solid C for cheese alone.
But I was allowed to watch it.
But you love it. It's a part of your history. I mean, sometimes you just can't fight nostalgia, man.
It does have a lot of foul language, and I don't think my parents realized that until I had one of those TV VCR combos my dad set up in the back of the van so I could watch movies on long road trips. And one day I forgot my headset, so I'm watching it, and they're dropping like GD and Damn It and couple fucks. And my dad's like, Brandie? I'm like, what? He's like, what is this? The Cutting Edge. Did you rent this? I'm like, no, I've had this movie for years. Isn't it amazing? And my dad's like, oh, and my mom hits him.
That was...
Now her ears are soiled. To the Lie Factory. Boy. Number 2.
You told a story just a little while ago on the podcast that I feel like is important. You said, when we came out of Iron Man 3, we said, this is better than The Dark Knight. We all sort of agreed about it. That holds true, because my number 2 movie is Iron Man 3. Because, put simply, it's better than The Dark Knight. That movie is a genuinely really good superhero movie. It has amazing twists. It has twists that surprise comic fans, which comic fans hate, but fuck you, it was good.
Well, if I can Kanye for a moment, I believe I can summarize this. Please go on afterward, but, it's exactly what we just talked about. The Dark Knight was a really good movie, except there's a lull in the middle and it's super fucking bleak. This movie, no lull, not bleak.
Nope.
And
it took away the 2 things that were a problem with The Dark Knight when here's a fucking movie.
And it showed that Tony Stark cares about both the people around him and regular people.
Yeah. Oh, the cat
It showed
scene.
him that he was a fucking superhero, okay?
I love it when they let heroes be heroes. DC hates doing that for some reason. DC films, I should be clear.
Yeah, DC animated movies are fucking gold.
Oh man, they're amazing.
But the live-action movies, they have this obsession with making things far bleaker than they have to be. Man of Steel is a movie that I like. And it's still the saddest, most bleak fucking Superman movie I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly, this is another thing that bothered me. I understand why it's there for tone reasons. New Batman or not, I cannot fathom a world in which Bruce Wayne is not capable of saving both Two-Face to be and Lady Girl.
He's fucking Batman.
He's Batman. He should be like, Alfred, send out the second robot car. Excuse me. Alfred, send out the second robot car.
No, he's the bad boy. He's not the Ultimate Warrior.
Alfred, load the spaceship with the rocket fuel.
Alfred,
load it with the
But you talked about Iron Man 3 earlier. None of what he said is wrong. It is, and its tonality, how similar it is to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, a movie I also love. It's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also with superheroes. Look, this movie was pretty much made for me. And
no Gay Perry, though.
No gay. And you know what? Fat Val Kilmer would have improved that.
Fat Val Kilmer improves most things. Shout out to Brando. The amazing Brando. Go to his YouTube channel. He's funny as hell and he makes raunchy video game songs. He's the best.
I also really like Pepper in this movie
she's
way
great.
more than any of the others.
Yes.
They teased Rescue, which makes me happy. I'm a nerd, okay? I'm a nerd, and that's I could gush about this movie. That's how much I enjoy it.
You know, honestly, and I said this before, and I'll say it again here for the podcast. There is one thing they could have done to improve this movie. If they somehow had the foresight to have put the actor who played Justin Hammer in the role of the villain here.
Aldrich Killian?
Yeah, Aldrich Killian, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, he was fine,
God,
but that would have been like
Bill.
the fucking...
What is his name?
I just can't think of it off the top of my head. He was the guy from Moon.
Yeah.
I really like him, but I just...
I'm gonna Google it.
Go for it. But yeah, if that actor had been in that role, just
Would have been
sublime.
perfect. And that's not to say the guy who did Aldrich Killian did a bad job.
No, he was fine. It's just like he was right there in the last movie, in that shitty Iron Man movie, being amazing, and why can't we have him here? The trifecta would be complete. The wisdom, the power, and the courage. We'd have it all.
Now, I mean, I still like Iron Man 2, and I think he was great as Justin Hammer.
He was amazing as Justin Hammer.
He would have been so much better as Aldrich Killian. You're right.
Like, having him have that smug supervillain moment...
To be perfectly honest with you, it might have made this movie my number one.
It probably would have climbed higher on my list just for that performance alone. I mean... But I digress. That's your number 2.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. My number 2... My number 2, for a long time, had a long-standing feud with my number 1 over which movie I liked better. My number 2 I saw in my young, formative Gothling years. And it is another comic book movie, but not the kind of comic book movie you would... Baby Bats were called. He was doing a little gesture. They're generally called Baby Bats.
I like Gothling better. I'm going to call him Gothling.
Sure, go for it. I'm copyright Eric J. Chucci 2015. We're talking about The Crow.
Good movie.
Yeah. One I haven't seen, looking at this list, I realized I haven't watched most of these movies in a long time. I'm pretty sure I could still quote Crow word for word.
You know what the funny thing is? I was thinking about watching them.
Yeah, just like a refresher.
As we were going through this list, I was like, you know what I should do? I should just go sit down and watch all these movies.
I'm good. I don't need to watch The Dark Knight or Sin City again. I've seen Iron Man 3 enough recently that I'm okay.
Some of them might need a refresher.
Watchmen, I wouldn't mind. Star Wars, I know. That's fine.
Yeah, Star Wars is ingrained in your psyche.
I would like to watch all the Star Wars again. I've only ever seen them all.
Didn't they recently re-release the original versions?
Oh God, if I could get a hold of theatrical versions of Star Wars again, you have no idea how much money I would pay a lot.
I think they re-released.
Yeah, they released the digitals, all 6 movies for $90.
The theatrical release or one of the stupid remastered ones?
I'm pretty sure it's.
Yeah, like when Disney got it, I think that was like priority 3.
I want the theatrical release of Star Wars.
I like a lot of the stuff they added, and they certainly fixed a lot of shit too.
So do I. But when I saw it, when I saw the original, when I saw it on video, because I'm not old enough to have seen it in theaters, but it was the theatrical release. That's where my nostalgia is. That's the movie that I want to watch. Damn it.
Yeah. But anyway, The Crow. Man, where to start? I like movies where there's a hero. I like movies that are a little bittersweet. I like movies where love triumphs even though love might be over. I like movies with really cool black dudes. And this really cool black dude was Ernie Hudson on top of all things. And
which makes him cooler.
Yeah, just instantly. I loved the setting, and man, I quote that movie constantly.
He's not joking; he really does.
And like stealth ones too, like bit lines. The style, the story it told, the interpretation of James O'Barr's work, which I have read. I recently started playing Darksiders 2, and half the reason I kept playing to get to when it started to get good is because I got to listen to Top Dollar be mean to people. Like, when we watched Seraphim Nights, that was the name of that movie, right? Seraphim Falls.
Seraphim Falls.
The cowboy movie with Liam Neeson?
Liam Neeson fights... The guy from Taken fights James Bond as cowboys.
Yeah.
That's that movie.
Oh, my God. And first of all, it's a fucking good movie. But secondly, there was like a tertiary character in there, and I was like, holy shit, that's Top Dollar. That is so Top Dollar. I'm looking it up. It is. I was excited. But, yeah, lots of just... It's a total package. It is Lex Luthor. This movie is Lex Luthor.
Get it on the express.
He's
Let's
not
go.
he's not quite Hulk Hogan, but he's good enough for WCW.
Yep. Where the big boys play.
Where the big boys play. Right here on Monday Nitro. Okay, Brandie, what's your what's your number one?
Alright, so this has been my favorite movie since I watched it the first time when I was probably, oh Lord, high school? Early high school?
When you were an entire high school?
Yeah, when I was an entire high
That
school.
brief phase you went through where you were a building full of children?
That's creepy.
Not really. That's what high schools are.
When I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
I had I want to say just watched Seven. And
Another very good film.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a Gwyneth Paltrow kick. So I saw this movie and I picked it up. It's called Sliding Doors. And again, my number one movie, 95% of the people I talk to have never seen it.
Neither of us had.
Last time we did this, I hadn't. She got me to watch it afterwards. It's a good movie.
Yeah, good flick.
Basically, it shows what happens. A lady gets up, goes to her job. Her boss is a dick and she gets fired. It takes place in England. On the way back, it shows what happens if she catches the train and what happens if she misses the train.
It's like two different alternate reality stories. It's a real complex movie for what it looks like. On the cover, it just sort of looks like a romantic
here's
comedy.
the funny thing. What the hell is it with British people and making weird, multi-dimensional movies that are just romantic comedies? Or secretly about the bond between a father and his son. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I could go
I'm not over it. I'm not over it.
Not over it. But anyway.
You missed that one, the boy.
Oh. And it shows that no matter what, there are certain things that are going to happen to you in your life no matter what. Big events. And that's kind of my philosophy on life. That no matter what decisions I make, there will still have been some things that happened to me. Like the decisions I made, my mother still would have died when she did.
Right.
No matter what other mistakes or paths had gone on in my life. Just certain things happened to her in both realities. And
it's one of those things where you can't, you have to look at life with a bit of an appraisal and go, there's just some things I can't prevent, so I can't sit around worrying all the time. Make the best out of what I've got.
Exactly, and it's where I fell in love with Gwyneth Paltrow and Janine Tripplehorn.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
She
and
is.
that Scottish
She has
guy,
a way cooler
or
name
Welsh.
than she is a good actress, though.
Yeah, she has no actual horns.
And if it hadn't been for this movie, I never would have watched Big Love.
Really?
I like that movie. I like this movie a little less now. Just
Well,
a little.
The reason why I watched
Then
this...
again, Bill Paxton was in Big Love.
I
Yeah.
like Big Love in retrospect. I didn't like watching it, but I'm glad I did. Like, when you have to go to the doctor, and you find out you had a horrible disease that they already cured.
So it's just, and there you go, now it's done.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, good, man.
If we didn't have modern medical science, you'd be dead. But
Yeah,
You're fine.
well, I didn't want to go to the doctor, and it was shitty to be there, but at least I don't have the super cancer.
The actress that plays Nikki is going to be on the season of American Horror Story.
Yeah, she's been in
Oh.
American Horror Story a lot.
No, she was only in the second season.
Oh, okay.
But Sliding Doors opened a
Yeah,
bunch
she's
of doors
pretty
for me.
Yeah.
I really
Sliding
did-
ones?
Yeah. Funny.
oh god!
Ooh!
That one stung. That one, I got the blowback from that one, and it hurts.
I moaned it!
But at the time, I really wasn't a big Gwyneth Paltrow fan. This movie and Seven really opened that for me. I watched a lot of.
I still don't care for her, if I'm being perfectly honest, but whatever. She's not a bad actress. I just don't care for her.
And
She carried this movie just fine.
Yeah.
hilariously enough, it's why I started watching Monty Python movies.
Really? Oh, okay, I get. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It affected me a lot, and I watched it a few years ago. Is this still my favorite movie? Yup.
Yep.
I don't think anything will ever top it.
I don't need reconfirmation. Boy, you get yours what every other day.
Mhm.
What your number one? What is it?
I was so stunned.
Is it the original Batman?
No,
Oh.
that is a tough sit, listener.
89
'89 Batman does not hold up. I'm gonna be honest. Tough sit.
That movie's about as much about Batman as
As the movie on the number one list. As my number one movie. Alright. This movie isn't as deep or philosophically fulfilling as Brandie's. It isn't as close to you as a person as your number one, or even honestly as some of the movies for me on my list. The reason this is my number one movie is because it is fucking hands down the most fun I've had at a movie. Bar none, no fucking contest.
And like a reliable pool to return to.
Yeah, I can.
Like, I need 90 minutes of fun.
It has Brandie class staying power. I can watch it anytime, any day, and it is hands fucking down the most fun I've had in a movie theater. Guardians of the Galaxy. It is and that's not to say it's a bad movie. It's a good movie. It's an incredibly well done, incredibly well paced, incredibly well acted. Lee Pace is amazing. Movie. You've heard me crow about it on the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast. If you want to hear me spout off with nerd joy about it, it's in there. Don't worry.
Usually and this is a testament to that. A, it's on all three of our lists, and we have some pretty different lists. You and I are a little more similar, but
Iron Man 3 and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, yep. I mean that shows what kind of quality films those were, and above and beyond that, when we review a film, even something we were as pleasantly surprised by as the Ninja Turtles movie, or something that we were so thrilled to see. I don't remember what the last one we reviewed pretty recently. Avengers 2.
Age of Ultron's good.
Yeah, when we talked about it, and, we were like, oh yeah, this was good. We talked about it. Guardians of the Galaxy will forever stand as a mar on our podcast dumb because instead of talking about the fucking movie, we just giggled and squeed and quoted lines from it for an hour.
And
the movie isn't much longer than that.
And I could do it again. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh yeah, that's just so overcome with joy were we.
And I'm not gonna say it's the best movie on this list. I don't think it is. I think there are some better made movies on this list.
Well, it doesn't have to be the best movie ever made.
No, it's just my favorite.
Yeah.
I've never had more fun watching a movie, ever. And it was stunning. Because it's the Guardians of the fucking Galaxy, for crap's sake.
Yeah, but man, pulled off with aplomb.
I now trust that writer and director. I will watch anything they put out, because clearly they know what they're fucking doing. Clearly. Sir?
So, is it my turn? Do I get to talk now?
Yeah.
There's an ant. Oh, there still is. Oh well, we'll leave him there for Ant-Man. My favorite movie of all time, as it has been for years, and as it shall be...
most likely forevermore.
Probably forevermore. And for many of the reasons mentioned previously, is The Devil's Rejects. If you guys listen to our Top 10 Horror Movies podcast, you will notice that my number 2 favorite horror movie of all time, just horror movie, not on the main list, is House of a Thousand Corpses. I kind of have a thing for Rob Zombie. But, what are you biting your fist about?
Nothing, go ahead.
It's not like a sexy thing. Stop making blowjob motions.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Neither do I.
No, I really love his work. I went through a lot of my life finding people to look up to because their art or their work or their vision or their music was better than mine, was something I hoped to achieve. I think Rob Zombie and I are in a similar ballpark, but he's super fucking famous and has all kinds of money, so when he's like, man, I want to do a movie about this, he can just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it masterfully here. And this is a story I would want to tell. It's so good to see some sort of media you would want to put out there realized. I saw this movie several times in the theaters. I painted myself up like Otis from the previous movie for it once, and it was just phenomenal. And because you get to see that shitty people are people too. Awful fucking, villains to most people are still human beings and still have merits and soft moments, and you can grow to care about them. If you look at this film from above, the way the narrative flows, it is extraordinarily clear that the Firefly family are the heroes of this story, and they're going up against a crazed, corrupted cop who is out for revenge. And, I mean, neither of these people are in the right.
No, the Firefly family are, as I said, awful fucking people.
Oh yeah, just absolutely horrible. But they really care about each other, and it reinstills a lot of those thoughts that as a child you are often told that your family is more important than your friends. Friends come and go. Your family is there with you forever. Uh, which is kind of similar to a House of Thousand Corpses quote I just noticed. The phrase they often quote for that is "blood is thicker than water."
Which this is completely off track.
No, it is completely on track. That quote is misused. I don't remember the second part of it. You have a memory.
The actual quote is, "The blood of brotherhood is thicker than the water of the womb." It is originally meant to say that the connections you form with people you care about in life are more important than connections that are decided by mere genetics. That is the original meaning of the quote.
I heard the blood of the covenant, I think, but either way, the same meaning holds true. And if you look in the works that I've written, if you look at Cult, if you look at other things I digest, where ragtag groups of misfits get together and do their best and forge these strong bonds, it doesn't matter if they're related. That concept we've talked about before, that slight misnomer of Nakama, where your family are the people around you that you choose. I sit in this room right now with the two people most important to me, and that's my wife, who I chose. She's not related to me, that we know of. And the boy, who, again, I chose, rather literally, come with me. I said, if you want to live. And
I too want to live.
You got on my motorcycle, and I hand-cocked a shotgun, and we ran away from a T-1000.
We stopped the apocalypse. You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then you got that cool movie with Christian Bale, so there's that. Huh?
Yeah.
That's entirely our doing. What the fuck was I talking about? Family. It's who you choose, not who squirts you out. You can love them too.
Yeah, that's not to say any of us dislike our families. We all love our families.
Mama Firefly is important, and Captain Spaulding and Baby are related directly.
But that's not the point of the movie.
No. And in the end, all of the bad guys get their due.
Both the ones you're rooting for and the ones you aren't.
And it's beautiful. It puts a finality that so many movies are so reluctant to place on things because they want to go out and do a franchise and whatever. It puts the nail in the coffin, and it does it where the main characters never compromise. And that's super important and critical to my beliefs. So there you go. And it has Freebird in it, and I like Freebird. It's a good song. Yeah, I talked about a lot of the art direction and music for other films, and I didn't really mention it here. I think it should go without saying that it's absolutely phenomenal. But the music, the soundtrack for that movie is just incredible.
Yeah, yes.
But I think that's podcast. We managed to only live in an hour and a half there.
Hey, it's pretty much exactly what you guessed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty good at this game. I even had the podcast window minimized, so it's not like I was rushing things. But, Brandie, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to share? Anything you had to omit from the list that you really desperately need Ultimo Dragon to know is a good film?
Catch Me If You Can. It's amazing. My Fair Lady. And Deathly Hallows.
Robot?
Yeah, I had a list of honorable mentions. Some of these used to be on my top 10 favorites list and got pushed off, but Nightmare Before Christmas, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, Justice League, Doom, Star Wars, Empire, specifically, and Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Good film. I don't have a list of honorable mentions prepared. Y'all can hit me up on Twitter. Boy and I have both of our Twitters in the description, and if you'd like to know about what movies I might recommend that aren't on this list, I'd be more than happy to engage you in conversation and share that with you.
I think that about wraps us up.
So, would you say that talking about, approximately 25 movies was improved by the act of us speaking of them, Brandie? Could you possibly condense that awkward phrasing I just created into I don't know.
Maybe some sort of incredibly witty sign-off line.
Yeah.
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Beautiful. Couldn't have done better if I'd written it myself.